Hello everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to understand the LeetCode problem 1488. The question is saying a wide flood in the city. Okay, so this is one of the trickiest greedy problem that confuses even the advanced coders. So don't worry, I'll try to explain in very simple way. Then we'll understand how to implement this problem and we'll do the code in the Java. So we'll do the deep dive in a second. Before that, let's try to understand what this problem is saying. That let me tell you the overall what the question is saying. That you can pause here and you can go through. So the actually question is saying that you have several lakes in the city, and every day it might rain on lake or be a dry. So you are given an array rains, right? As you can see here, where it is saying rains at I is greater than 0, means lake rain at I fills up with the water that day. Okay, and if rains at I is equal to 0, it means it's a dry day and you can empty exactly one lake. Okay, and if it rains, right, if it rains on a lake that's already full, means there will be a flood. Okay, so our goal is to prevent all the floods by choosing which lake to dry on each day, each dry day you can say. So that is what we need to do. As you can see, we have a couple of examples here, right, where the example saying that rains at elements are like this, and we have to return the output like this. Okay, you can pause this and you can understand. So when there is no dry day, right? So there is no day to dry any lake, so there is no flood in any lake. Okay, and in that case we'll get this value -1. In other cases, if there will be some dry day, right, as you can see here, you will have, you will see the different values. Okay, that we will discuss how this problem will work and how we are going to understand. Okay, very first, let's try to understand how this will work. Okay, so, so this example is very good. So if you pause this and you can go through, it will be good for you to understand what I'm going to explain here. Let's understand from here. Avoid the flood in the city. We have a list of days. So on day I, so rains at I, if it is greater than 0, means the lake rains at I get filled with water and it become full. It means, what it means if that the same lake is already full, means it become what, there will be a flood. Let's talk about when rains at I equal to 0 on the ith day, means it's a dry day. So we may choose one lake to make it empty, right? So either in the case of rains at I greater than 0 and rains at I equal to 0, both meaning you should understand what will happen on the ith day. So the day will get changed every day. You need to find if the rains at I is greater than 0 or equal to 0. If it is greater than 0, it means there is some filled water is there. So if we are going to add some water again, there will be flood. So we have to avoid the flood. It means we have to dry whenever we find the value here, but we, how we are going to dry it, that we have to understand. So at each time, if you see the dry rinse at I is equal to 0, it means a dry day. So you have to, you may have to choose these to make empty. Okay, one of the lake. So we'll understand how to do that, but before that, try to understand what is our task. Our task is to return an empty array that is called answer, right, in the same length. So answer at I equal to -1 for a rainy days. If there is a rainy day, means the water is happening, right? So it will become -1. And we have to dry, because before that we have to dry also. So that case we have to also understand. For any days, answer at I is which lake we choose to dry that day, such that no flood happens. It is impossible, so we'll return empty one. Let's try to understand through the example. We have example 1 2 0 0 and 2 1. So very first at day I means day 0, lake 1 lake 1, that is we are talking about this one. So it is having the range, right? It rains means it's already full. So we'll say answer at 0, we have to say it is -1, right? Whenever we say if answer at I equal to -1 for the rainy days, so it is already a rainy days, it means for the rainy days we'll return -1. Same for the day 1, this is 2, it means it's also rains, means it is also full, return -1. So we'll at answer at 0, answer at 1 become -1 -1. Now it is coming for the dry day, means 0 0 is coming. So when it is dry, right, we'll decide later about this field. We'll say okay, we later decide dry, we'll do the dry leg 2 on day 2. How we'll do that we'll understand later, but think that we will dry leg 2 on day 2 and we'll fill this as a answer as a 2. Okay, similarly for the answer at 3, we'll update the 1. Okay, so these two will be updated with the 2 and 1, and these are the rainy days, so we'll update -1. Let's talk about the day 4, means we are talking about this here. So when to leg 2, so leg 2 here remains having the rains, right? Leg 2 rains again here, so we'll say okay, because we dry it earlier, right here. So we'll say okay, these are the dry day, we can say. So let's try to find here the value. So we'll say okay, answer at this value will become -1 because it's already rains, right? Similar for this case, we'll say answer at this is -1. When it is rainy day, you just put the value is -1. In other cases, when it is 0, you have to decide to dry the lake, right? Which lake we have to dry, that we have to understand. Let's try to understand how we'll decide to and how we are going to choose that. Okay, we have the range like this 1 2 0 0 2 1. This was the things we have. Very first, think that this is the ith day and we will take the last range, try set and answer. We'll understand it. Very first, initial state, we'll think about like this. What is the last train? What is the dry set? And what is the answer currently? So when we talk about it at day 0, means we are talking about the index 1, when the ith day we are talking about. Okay, means 0 day, first day. So range at 0 is 1. It means what? The last train doesn't have leg 1, right? So if you see here, the last train field doesn't have anything, right? So we'll say as the last train doesn't have a leg 1 in this list, right? So we'll say okay, now say you will set the value here. So we'll say okay, last train equal to 0. So we'll set the value. So dry set will remain and answer will update as a -1, as we know, right? We'll update the answer -1. Now the state from here, it will get changed to like this. So now we have added the last train because the last train doesn't have anything, but now we have one here, right? So we'll say okay, leg 1 and we'll put the value here is at 0. Okay, so we'll put here, we'll say dry set will update and similarly we will update our answer. Let's move for day 1, where we'll say okay, the previously in the last trains we know that there will be value we have calculated and we'll put here. Rest of the things we updated the answer only. So when we talk about the at 1 we have is 2, so we'll get the 2. So last train doesn't have leg 2. Okay, so we'll say okay, set this value because this last train having only one value is 1, right? So we'll set this value, we'll say okay, last train, set the value, we'll set it, and this is also 2, we'll say okay, update the answer -1. Let's talk about now the at day 2, what we have. At day 2 we are talking about 0, it's a dry day, but we have the last trains 1 0 2 0 and the things is minus minus in the answer. But this is at range at 2, we'll say this is 0 means this is dry day. It means add I equal to 2, right? I equal to 2 to dry set and say this is available dry day. So in the dry set you have to update here value, okay, and then answer you will update as a 2 here temporarily because I equal to 2, right? So you update the answer to temporarily equal to 1 placeholder. So we will set it when we assign which leg is to dry, right? So we'll say okay, last train, we'll say 1021, and this is, we have the dry set, means we can use this one, okay, as a 2. So we'll say okay, dry set we have updated as true, because this day we have the day 2, we can say we have the available to make any of the let's suppose the next is coming, right? So we'll update, use this one, okay, for dry the lake. Now you can say when ith day we are talking about 3, means again we have is a dry day, right? So we'll say dry day, okay. Now add these 3 to the dry set. So we'll update, so dry set is already 2, now we'll update one more, right? So now dry set is 2 and 3. So day 2 and day 3 has been added here. So we can say okay, 2 and 3 dry set we have added, and rest of this thing will keep updating like this. 1 1 we have to add 1 1 as a temporarily in the placeholder, right? Okay. When we talk about the ith equal to 4, we got the 2, it's not a dry day, okay, means there is a lake and rinse again, right? Okay, we'll say okay, rinse at 4 is 2, it's a lake 2, rinse again, okay. This is the same lake we have, but it's raining again, okay. It means the lake 2 was filled at the previous. At previous is what? The last rinse at 2, we know that, right? What we need to say, okay, previous equal to last and 2, update equal to 1, okay. So we'll update, we will update from here. So last train we know that is here, right? So last train at 2 is nothing but 1, okay. So we'll say this is 1, so the previous is 1. We must find an available dry date d with d greater than previous, which is d is greater than 1, means previous is 1, from 1 it should be greater value, right? So you will find in the dry set what is greater than 1, right? So the greater one is 2, so you will choose this 2. We'll say okay, earliest d which is greater than 1 is d equal to 2, so we'll choose the 2 from this dry set. So dry set at 2 means we'll say okay, at 2 we have to try, means what we are trying to do, we'll assign answer at 2 equal to 2, because we have used this now, and we'll say we dry lake 2 on day 2, okay. So we will dry the lake 2 on day 2, and we'll update the answer accordingly, okay. So we'll remove 2 from the dry set, now left is 3 because we have used this. So this from 2 3 is will be updated to 3 only, and now we have to update the last range also, so you have to update this value also, okay. So the answer is answer at 4 equal to -1. Now let's update it. So now we know that we have previously it was 1 here, right? Now we have used 2, previously it was 1, right? Now you have to update as a 4, because we have used this. So this is about day 4, so we'll update our day 4 here to 4. So means at this day it was raining and we have filled it, we have dried it, right? Okay. Similarly for the dry set we have to update, and accordingly we will update our answer also, right? So here as you can see we have updated our answer equal to 2, so you can see the our answer we have updated here. Now talk about the last one, this is one, okay. What will happen? We know we have the last line is 1024, and we have is dry set is 3, okay. When we talk about the day 5 means ith day, right? Or we can say the rain at 5 is equal to 1. So lake 1 rains again, okay. We have the lake 1 and lake 2. So now lake 2 we have already done, now we have left with lake 1, okay. When we talk about the lake 1, it rains again, so we'll say okay, what is in the previous, we'll say last rain at 1 is equal to 0. So in the last rain at here is nothing but coming 0, right? So we'll say 0. So we need a dry day which is d greater than 0, okay. What is the greater than 0 in this? Obviously there is only one value, we'll choose 3, right? So we'll say okay, choose the day equal to 3. Now we have to update answer at 3 is equal to 1, we have to update, right? And then we'll say okay, try day 1 on day 3. On day 3 we have to try the day 1. Now you will update again. So once you will update it, it's empty, you will update the dry rain is 5, answer equal to 5. So last train is 1 5 will get updated, and 2 4 in the last train, and dry set is empty now. This is what our answer is, right? And we have seen this. So let's talk about searching for a dry day. So when we need a dry day after previous, right, we search dry set for smallest dry day with d is greater than previous. So think of it as like if we have previous equal to 1, so we have the dry set 2 and 3. So we will choose the which should be greater than 1, right? So we'll choose the day, okay, like this. So the day should be greater than the previous. What is the previous? Previous is 1. Now we have to choose greater than 1. That is why we are choosing these two. When we talk about the previous is 0 and we have dry set is equal 3, so we have chosen what is 3 because there is only one value, only one dry day, right? So we'll use greater than this. Like this we have to choose. So in the implementation wise, what we should use? We know that we will use the tree set. So we can use the dry set and dry set, right? When we use the higher previous, you will get the that day, right? So we'll use the tree set. So why earliest dry day is the best, right? So each time a lake was already full rains again, so we must use some earlier dry day between the last fill and these rains, right? Why? Because we have to empty it. Otherwise, the flood will happen, and we know we have to avoid the flood, right? That is why we have to do. So if several dry day are available, right, there will be multiple dry day. We have seen that there is two dry day was available. So using a dry day, later dry day to empty this lake only reduce the options for other lakes, right? That might need the earlier dry day. And so it is safe and optimal to use the earliest dry day and that can handle this lake. So that is why we are using what? The day should be greater than the previous. Okay. Now the conclusion is it's a greedy approach, right? So when a conflict arises for lake X whose last fill was at previous, pick the earliest dry day, that is D, and D should be greater than the previous, and so we'll use these to dry X, right? And this preserve the future flexibility. This is what we are talking about, why we use the dry day. Okay, I hope you understand. Let's talk about the implementation approach. What data structure you are going to use? So you should use the last train. There will be a map, and it should take the lake and the last day of the index. So we want to record the last day a lake was filled, right? So this will be the lake, and what is the last day that this lake has been filled. Then we'll use the dry set. It will be the order set of the dry day indices, which will quickly find the smallest dry day. Just we'll take the greater than previous, as you can see here. So in the Java or in the Python, right? So in Java we'll use we have the tree set, and if you are using the Python, you will the bisect, right? I hope you understand this. In case for the result or answer, you will have the answer. Let's talk about answer at I equal to -1 for the rainy days, answer at I equal to 1 for the dry days as a default we will use, and then we will accordingly will overwrite the dry day choose that we will choose for making the lake what do you call avoiding the lake as a flooded, okay, when we will reassign the value. So if you talk about the pseudocode, let's talk about the pseudocode. You will take a loop for the day. We will start from 0 to n-1. If it rains, it equal to 0. You will just add into the dry set and answer you will update as a 1. This will be get updated once we will reuse it. Okay. In the else condition, we'll say okay, lake equal to rains at I, update answer at I equal to -1, because this time it is not equal to 0, there will be some value, right? So rains at I will get the value from there as a lake, this is our lake, and the answer you will update as a -1. Now if the lake in the last train, you have to check in the last train set if it is having, you need to find the previous. How? Last trains at lake, you will find the previous, you will get the D, you will say okay, dry set dot smaller value will get, right? You will get the D. If D is the none, return. If D is not available, return empty. It is impossible. Otherwise, you update answer at D equal to the lake. and you have to remove this d from the try set, and you will update the last train lake equal to I. Now you have to update the ith day in the last train, and then finally you will return the answer. This is very simple, guys. I hope you understand this. In this case, if you are using Java, you will take o of n log n as a complexity. If you're Java developer, it's very easy to implement here. Let's talk about if n equal to how. We'll take the number of range here. We'll create our answer because we have to return this. So this should be the same length, right? So answer resultant should be the same length having the range. So you will use the n and you will update the answer like this. Now you have to fill the array. So we'll say array dot fill answer and one will take. So initially you will fill the answer here default as a dry day. Okay. Now you will take the integer and we will update lake and the last day it rains happens, right? So I can say we will map like lake and the last day it rains happens. Okay. Then we will use the dry and we'll say, okay, this is the indices which is available for the dry day. As you can see, the indices of the available dry day, which is a sorted day. So we'll say, okay, we'll take a tree set. Now for loop, we'll make from 0 to n. We'll check the range is equal to 0. You'll add the dry. So we'll update these indices. So we are marking this day as available to dry a lake. So whenever whenever you find the let's suppose the dry lake, what you need to do, you have to use this lake as a dry day, or you can say you have to mark this day as a dry day. So you can empty any lake, or if you want to make that dry a lake that you can use here. In else condition, you will say, okay, it's a rainy day, update -1. You find the value from the you can say the lake, and it will check in the last. If it contains this lake, you can find the previous, you can get the d. You know how to find, you just need to do dry dot higher previous. It will give you the a smaller dry day, and because this is the feature of the tree set, and because it will give you the sorted way, right? So you will check if d is equal to 0, sorry, null. In this case you will return impossible values, otherwise you will update the dry day, right? In the answer you will update the dry day to empty a lake. So you will update it, you will remove from the dry, right? Because this had been used now. Otherwise we'll update, we will add the last using this lake and the day that we have done. Because if in case if this lake doesn't contains, right, you have to put again, right? This is what we need to do, guys. In case if you need still help, let me know in the comment section. Any questions is welcomed here. Don't think that I'm not going to reply here. Obviously I will reply to you. And if you're new at ExpertFunda, please subscribe. And if you're following ExpertFunda, uh, please like this video and share with your friends. And thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching this. I'll see you tomorrow.